Hi, welcome to the Mechanics of Deformable Bodies course. I am Jayaprakash Tripathi, and in this lecture, we will talk about stress-strain relations. The content of this lecture will include introduction about stress and strain. We will generalize the Hooke's law in elementary strength of material. We have learned Hooke's law, which is suitable for some particular cases. But in this lecture, we will generalize the Hooke's law to make it suitable for any general case. Next, we will talk about stress-strain relationship in the context of isotropic materials. The stress-strain relationship includes many constants such as modulus of rigidity, bulk modulus, Young's modulus, and Poisson's ratio. So in this lecture, all these constants will be covered in detail. Finally, we will discuss the concept of displacement equation of equilibrium, which is very important criteria for analysis of stress or strain. So after completing this lecture, you will learn all these concepts and you will be able to apply these concepts to solve numerical problems related to stress-strain relations. Let's begin. So all these topics have been divided into two-part video. In the first part, we will cover the introduction, then generalized statement of Hooke's law and stress-strain relationship for isotropic material. And in the part 2, we will cover these four topics. In this lecture, we will establish relationship between stress and strain with help of several equations. These equations are known as constitutive equations and they are dependent on the material property. Hooke's law. Based on experimental observations, it is postulated in elementary strength of materials that there exists a proportional relationship between stress and strain up to the so-called proportionality limit of the material. The constant of proportionality is known as Young's modulus and it is generally denoted by the term E. We can extend this relationship to establish relationship between six rectangular stress components and strain components. To generalize it, the stress and strain in three-dimensional space is generalized in this form, where I can be x, comma y, comma z, and similarly j also can take the term x, y, and z. The parameter k and l can take values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. M and N, they also can take the coordinate axis x, y, and z. Here A, K, L are constants for the given material. And if we expand this equation, then we will get to 6 equations corresponding to 6 rectangular stress components. That means one needs so many constants in order to describe the stress-strain relationship in generalized Hooke's law. Let's consider an isotropic material and let's see that how the constitutive equation are changed in case of isotropic materials. So what we mean by isotropic material? Isotropic materials are those materials which possess same properties in all directions at any particular point, in all directions at a point. That means it has no directional property. In all directions, its properties remain same. So if we take this constitutive equation between stress and strain, and if we write the expression for the principal stresses, then this equation becomes sigma 1 is equal to A epsilon 1 plus B epsilon 2 plus C epsilon 3. All the shear strains becomes 0. Sigma x is written as sigma 1. These strains becomes the principal strains. So epsilon x becomes epsilon 1, epsilon y becomes epsilon 2, and epsilon z becomes epsilon 3. For simplicity, I have written this constant, this coefficient A11, the term A, the coefficient A12 has been written coefficient B, and A13 has been written the coefficient C. But for isotropic material, B and C should be same. because the effect of sigma 1 in the direction of epsilon 2 and epsilon 3, which are both at right angles to sigma 1, must be same if we are considering the isotropic material case. So if B and C are same, then we can take B as common, and then it will become B into epsilon 2 plus epsilon 3. Just add B into epsilon and subtract the same B epsilon 1, and we get this equation. So the summation of epsilon 1, epsilon 2 and epsilon 3 is the cubical dilatation or volumetric strain delta, and this A minus B is termed as 2 mu and B is termed as lambda. So the resulting equation takes this form: sigma 1 is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon 1, where similarly we can derive the relationship between sigma 2 and epsilon 2 and sigma 3 and epsilon 3 by following the same procedure. Here the term lambda and mu are known as Lami's coefficients. So it is very clear that there exist only two elastic constants in the relationship between the principal stresses and principal strains in case of isotropic material. So in the previous slide, we derived relationship between principal stresses and principal strains for isotropic material. Now we will establish relationship between 6 rectangular stress components and 6 rectangular strain components with the help of Lami's coefficients. For that, let's use this formula. So we know that epsilon pq is written as epsilon xx nx square plus epsilon yy and y square plus epsilon zz and z square plus epsilon xy into nx and y plus epsilon yz into ny and z plus epsilon xz nx and z. If we take principal reference frame or principal axis as reference frame, then this epsilon pq will become this epsilon pq will be equal to epsilon 1 nx1 square plus epsilon 2 ny1 square plus epsilon 3 and z1 square, where the nx1 ny1 and nz1 are the direction cosines of line pq, which is also denoted by a new coordinate axis x dash. So the epsilon pq can also be written as epsilon x dash is equal to epsilon 1 nx1 square plus epsilon 2 and y1 square plus epsilon 3 and z1 square. Now if we take x dash plane and write the Cauchy's stress formula, then sigma x dash will be equal to sigma normal stress is equal to Tx nx1 plus Ty and y1 plus Tz and z1, where Tx will be equal to nx1 sigma 1 and Ty will be equal to ny1 sigma 2 and Tz will be equal to nz1 sigma. So sigma x dash will be equal to nx1 square sigma 1 plus ny1 square sigma 2 plus nz1 square sigma 3. We know that sigma 1 is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon 1, and similarly sigma 2 is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon 2, and sigma 3 is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon 3. So if we substitute these principal stress and strain relationship in this equation, then we will get this final expression. And here we know that this nx1 square plus ny1 square plus nz1 square is equal to 1, and from this equation we know that this part epsilon 1 and x1 square plus epsilon 2 and y1 square plus epsilon 3 and z1 square is equal to epsilon x dash. So if we substitute, then we will get sigma x dash is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon x dash. Similarly, we can derive the equation sigma x is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon x, sigma y is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon y, and sigma z is equal to lambda delta plus 2 mu epsilon z.